Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, we had the Year 6 offseason, and it was a pretty good offseason, I would say, for us. We had a pretty solid draft, and obviously we got our contracts done for another season. And this is what our team is looking like going into year number 7, and I think our roster is literally coming together quite nicely here. As you can see, we almost have a legit top 6. Our bottom 6 still kind of needs a little bit of work. Like, you have guys like Capaduca who are very close to being like an actual 4th liner and all that. But I'd say definitely our top 6 is getting to the point where it's almost NHL like caliber. Defensively, we're also kind of getting a good defensive core for our top 3 with Bell, Tuzolino, and Arena. Our other ones, not so much, so that's definitely still another area we kind of need to work at a little bit. And also our goaltending also still needs to develop a bit, but it is starting to look pretty nice. It looks like probably right now I would say it's a hybrid between like a low-end NHL team and a high-end AHL team. So very excited to see what this team ends up doing this season. Obviously last year Ristolainen won a Selke trophy, so I'm hoping he could do it again because that'd be awesome. And I'm also hoping that we could get guys like Doig, who's in his first season, to play really well as well. Because if we have a good two-way forward and a good guy that could also play like a two-way forward, that's actually a power forward, we could have a pretty good penalty kill down the road, which is exciting. In the AHL, it's still pretty much the same prospects as normal, but there is a few new additions. I think Ahinen is new, if I remember right. Yeah, he's new to the AHL, so he will be playing down there with the likes of Camilleri. Weston Timmons is now in the AHL, which is kind of a bit weird, but we still do have Zetterberg, we have Bure, we have Guite now as well. So there is a couple new faces to the AHL team, which is nice. And I'm hoping that they have obviously an okay season as well ahead. And in the net too, Semenov will be also making his debut in the AHL. So it'll be interesting to see how those goalies develop. Hopefully some of them get good growth. The one thing that kind of sucks is a lot of our prospects that we've been drafting now are starting to get scratched, like Thorne, Volk, Pavelski, and Tamerlan. These guys are not going to play because they have low-end potential. And likely these are the first type of guys that are eventually going to start getting dropped off from this team, unfortunately, just because we're going to need to start drafting more forwards and all that type of thing. And those guys don't have enough space to play for the upcoming season, unfortunately. So, yeah, very excited to see what this team's able to do. I think we're definitely going to do pretty similar to last year. I don't think we're going to outrageously beat last year's record, but who knows, maybe the addition of Doig is going to make us a little bit deeper than we were last season. So, very excited to see if our team could get plus like 30-plus wins this season again. And build off what happened last season, because last season was successful. I think obviously we're getting closer and closer to where we're obviously going to be pushing for like maybe a playoff spot, but obviously that's going to take still maybe another few years. But I definitely think we're not going to be dead last in the league again, because obviously last season we weren't dead last, but we still had a good season, all things considered. So I think this year we could be above like 5 or more teams, depending on how our team actually simulates with the Dimension and all that. But anyways, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys had to say about last episode, and then we will get into year number 7. So the first comment is from Nick Barons OC, who says Doig the Devastator. So that's, I guess, what he's going to try and nickname him is the Devastator. I don't know why he wants to call him the Devastator, but yeah, Doig is going to be an interesting penalty kill kind of guy. He is a two-way forward. He's got good face-off stats, which is kind of intriguing. So maybe we could try and get him to move to center. That's a thing that I might try and do here at the beginning of the season, just kind of like what we did with Del Monte last year. But Del Monte was like, hell no, I don't want to be a center. So yeah, we might try something like that with Doig, but this is what he's looking like. And he looks pretty good, I would say. No real weakness with him other than, I would say, his fighting skill, which obviously is not super important. So he should have a pretty good season, considering he's getting to play in the top 6 right away to start his career. So excited to see what he could do in his rookie year. The next comment is from Sanotaku, who says, even if Solovyov was a medium top 6, with that overall, you could have put him in the AHL right away, and maybe he would be ready for the big club the following season. You better hope Kim develops and fast. Based on my own limited experience, late-round elite playmakers can be solid NHL contributors, so Peterson was a good selection. Plus, I don't expect Dag that you drafted will become a bust thanks to his high starting overall. And yeah, it was an interesting draft just because we got some pretty good prospects, but there was one where I drafted a medium elite that had low overall, and there was a low elite that literally went right afterwards. And I was looking into potentially taking a low elite, so it was like, maybe not the best decision in the world, but obviously we didn't know if the low elite was actually going to be a low elite. So If we look here at our unsigned prospects, you can see we have a good amount of prospects that could make the NHL in the next few years, including Deg, who is a lowly grinder. We have Tulipov, who we drafted a few years ago. We still have some low nines and all that. My medium 6 and Winquist, I don't know if he's going to really pan out, but he still has potential at least to be something. We have a low lead in Jordan Lee, who's taken a bit of time to develop. And then here is the medium lead I drafted in last draft in Rick Kim. I don't really know if he's going to become that good. He's got good potential to become good, but he could honestly become maybe like a bottom 6 forward if he doesn't develop fast enough. So I'm hoping he gets good development. And we also got Peterson, who should be a good little steal there. That's also lowly potential. Yannicki's got medium 4, so he might be something like... I definitely like the looks of our prospect pool right now. It's definitely a lot better than I anticipated. So hopefully we continue to draft more good players with good potential. And that way we could actually build this team up and also have a little bit of a future if this team starts to fall off after a few years. But I think this team, obviously, once we start making the playoffs, we should be a competitive team for at least 5 to 10 seasons before we start to have our wheels kind of fall off a little bit. The next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, I would move Doig to center and solidify that position in the top 2 lines. So he's saying to maybe change Doig to that center, as we were just mentioning. So he wants Doig to be as the second line center. The interesting thing is with Bogosian is he's actually listed as a third line scoring forward, so it would make sense if we move Doig to the center spot. Bogosian could go down to third line center, then I could try and maybe get Steen to change over to a right winger because he doesn't have the best face-off stats. Like at least give right wing as a secondary position or something like that, so that way we could have him on the wing as a sniper, maybe up in the top 6. And then Malkin would also be, maybe Malkin actually would be in the top 6. One of the two of them would be playing on the top 6 right wing spot. And then we would need another right winger for the future. But yeah, maybe we'll try and see if Doig would want to change the center this season. And if he does, that would be really nice because obviously, like I said, Del Monte didn't want to do that last season. So if Doig wants to, that might solidify things a little bit stronger. Now, with Doig as well, he actually fits our third line better, so maybe I would keep Bogosian in the top 6 for the time being if Doig wants to change the center, and then Doig could be the third line center for the time being. Obviously, he's going to be getting some penalty kill time and all that, I believe. Yeah, he's going to be getting penalty kill time and all that, so he should be okay with his ice time. But I think that might be a better thing for his development is starting off on the third line if we could get him to change and if we could get Stefan Steen to play on the right side. Because obviously that would be important for the future, basically, and having our team set up the way we want it to set up. The next comment is from Joseph D. Miller, who says, good draft. Switching or adding roles to Doig in the low faceoff center might be a good idea. And yeah, I definitely think that is probably the best play. Obviously, it depends if the guys want to change over. If they don't want to change over, there's nothing really I could do about it. But obviously, if I could maybe get some of them to add it as like a secondary position at least, that way we could actually kind of flip them in between those spots. Like they aren't going to be like a full-time center or something like that. Instead, maybe they're just like a center occasionally. Yeah, that might be something we'd look into. And the last and final comment is from Dusty Wall, who says, I'd say you had a good draft and the team is definitely trending upward, and I agree. I think the team is definitely looking quite good for year number 7. Like, usually I feel like in Draft Glories it takes a lot longer to have a good-looking squad. Well, this might be my best-looking squad by year number 7. I can't remember by comparison to my other teams, but I'm pretty sure this is a little bit deeper of a team. So, anyways, I already did all the regular season goal setup stuff before I started recording this episode, so that doesn't have to be done. Except for like guys like Doig, and then we could go also to the center in Steen and see if he wants to change to a right winger, if he'll be okay with something like that. So let's start off by talking to Steen, because if Steen doesn't want to change to right wing, I would prefer probably to keep Doig as a right winger for the season at least, just because we don't really have any other guys that could take over the right wing spot on that top 6 where Doig currently is. So let's ask Steen first. I should be able to talk to him about this already, right? Yes, on ice play. Let's see. So position. Let's talk about what position you play. Yeah, let's see if we can get him a secondary position. Change position. I don't need him to fully change his position. I just need him to change. We want you primarily at center, but you want to add more flexibility to your game as a secondary position. Can you play right wing? Yeah, I think that would be probably a good option. I mean, he is a right-handed shot, so would the left wing be better? Probably not. I think I'm going to ask him if he wants to have right wing as a secondary position. Let's see if he'll accept that. I don't think that's the best idea for my game as a whole. Trust me, I'm better off staying at my current position. Well, that kind of sucks. So I guess we are not going to be asking then Doig to change over to center, because I think that just makes more sense, because who else would I be playing Actually, technically, I do have Malkin and Perron that could play right wing, but Steen would have to get moved down to a fourth line kind of guy. I mean, I could try and ask Tulipov to change to a winger, but the thing is with Tulipov is he's now up to a 77 on faceoffs, so his faceoffs have improved. I don't think that's mandatory. There is Capaduca who could go in the right wing spot technically as well in that top 6 where Doi currently is. I just feel like, if I was to put Capaduca into that top 6, it'd look good. And then if I got Steen to go down to 4th line center, Tulipov, I change him over to a left winger. And I get Doig over to here. That could be something as well. Since Steen doesn't want to change his position, at least right now. I could try and get Tulipov to change over to left wing. He is actually a really good fit on this 3rd line, apparently. So yeah, let's talk to Tulipov and see if he'll also add a left winger as one of his positions. I know he's better at faceoffs than Steen, but we might as well do something like that. And if he doesn't, obviously, I think we might have to just keep Doig as a right winger for the time being, just so it actually makes sense. So, Tulipov, do you want to add left wing as a position? I'm going to ask a couple of these guys at least to add some positions. Let's see. Let's see if we can add left wing. Will you add left wing, please, Nikita? No, you will not. Damn, seems like it's really tough to get players to change positions, so I guess we're going to keep the lineup the way it was at the beginning of this episode. So unfortunately, those guys do not want to move out from center, which means we're going to have to keep the wingers on their normal positions, or else we're going to get into roster problems. So Doig is going to go back into the top 6. Capaduca is going to go back over to the wing. Tulipov is going back to 4th line center, and Steen will be 3rd line center. So that kind of sucks. We aren't going to get these guys to change positions, but it is all right. I still like Bogosian as a 2nd line center anyways right now. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to become a great 2nd line center. Like, he has very good passing, though, and his offensive awareness is good. So, hypothetically, he could be a very cheap option for that 2nd line. And we don't really need much down the middle other than him. Like, I don't know if Steen is going to develop to being as good as Bogosian, but, I mean, I think we might already have kind of our center core kind of locked down, which is good, even though it might not be as strong on paper as some other teams. So, I think we're pretty much good with all of that. I do just need to do the, where is he? Oh, there it is. The season goal for Doig, because I didn't do that because I thought that was going to be part of it. So, let's just give him a season goal for his rookie season. Let's go stat challenge. 20 goals, 20 assists. Since he's a two-way forward, likely he's going to score more goals than assists, my guess. So I'm going to go with 20 goals. Let's see if he could score 20 goals in his rookie season. That would be a nice little complimentary thing for that 2nd line. So he should be able to do it with a good passer like Bogosian next to him. So all that is good and ready to go. Let's get through this preseason and see how this team does. And then obviously the regular season should be pretty interesting ahead, because this should be probably our best season yet, unless we fall off a little bit from last year, because last year was really strong. But I am excited to see how this team does for year number 7. Preseason is a little bit inconsistent right now, but that's okay. Obviously, it's not going to matter until we get to the regular season. I am curious still on like what our goals for and goals against are going to be like by the end of the season. Like if we're going to actually be a really good defensive team, or are we going to be a good offensive team? Like, the team is still kind of trying to find its identity, so to speak. So, 3-5 in the preseason anyways. Who led us in points during the preseason through those 8 games? It was Malkin with 6 points. That's not really who I anticipated, but that's interesting. Apparently, during the preseason, we were 31st in goals for, 12th in goals against. Damn. Okay, so we might be a good defensive team based on that. Our power play literally didn't score a single goal in the preseason, which is kind of bad. And our penalty kill was dead last, too. So, our special teams were pretty bad. But I don't really care too much because it was preseason. It will be interesting definitely to see what it does during the regular season. So let's simulate up to the start of the regular season, where we take on the Capitals to start the season. That's interesting. I believe the Caps were the one team that was below us in the standings last year, correct? I think so. So we should be able to maybe win our first game in the season, depending on that. But let's go a month at a time, take it a little bit slower. But obviously, I'm not going to go back and look at player stats until we get to the end of the season or something like that, just because I don't want to be spoiled on any of that as we lose our first 2 games of the season. But like I said, hopefully we at least build off something from last year. So far, these games have been relatively close, other than the game against Ottawa where we lost 4-1. Come on, boys, let's get at least maybe 2 wins this month. Losing a lot of games to start the season, but that's all right. At least we're learning, and hopefully the chemistry is doing well. Okay, there's 3 straight wins after I said that. 4-6-1 in our first 11 games. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'll definitely take that. Let's go another month and see where we are at that point. Because if we stay around 500, this team could have like 35 wins by the end of the year. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm going to guess we're going to at least get around 33 wins this season. But honestly, I have no idea. Because this team could all of a sudden just fall off a cliff. Or they could all of a sudden do really well. Depending if players are developing and all that. A little bit of a losing streak here for the team. But that's okay. So far, no wins. There we go. We beat Chicago in a shootout. We've had a lot of extra frame games so far here, which is good, but only 5 wins so far. So a little bit of a slow start, I think, by comparison to last year. And as I say that, we have now won 2 in a row, 3 in a row. Can we beat the Rangers? Yes, we can. Of course, after I was mentioning that, we literally win 4 in a row. 9-12-4 in our first, how many games is that? 25 games this season. Not bad. Almost around 500. We've had points in 11, 11? No. That's my math. 13 of our 25 games. That's actually pretty good. So even though we technically have lost 12 games in regulation, we've had points in 13 games. So that's pretty impressive, I would say, for the most part. All right, let's go to January the 1st and see where we are at that point. And we'll keep it up with this simulation, try and get through the season relatively quick, but also taking it one month at a time, just to kind of see what we're doing good at. There's 5 wins in a row for our team, and we lose to the Ducks 6-0. Now we're going to go on a losing streak probably, right? Let's see. Game against Utah is a loss as well. Florida, loss again, yeah, as expected. Buffalo is a win. Washington is another loss. We got a couple more games left this month. Boston is another win, okay. A little bit of an inconsistent month by comparison, but we're up to 12 wins at least, which is nice. Game against Minnesota coming up is another win. What about Montreal? No, is a loss. 13-20-4. So we have points technically in 17 of 37 games. That's not too bad still when you think about it, because that's 17 games with a point and 20 of them without a point. So we are still kind of hovering around that spot where we have points in almost half of the games we've played, which is not too bad. So we have a lot of games this month, and especially on Wednesdays. What the hell's with the scheduling? Like, literally, look, there's a game there, game there, game there, all these games. We play on, like, every Wednesday for over a month. That's actually kind of ridiculous. All right. Well, we're into January. Let's go to the end of January and see where we're at this point. We have a lot of games this month, so we could definitely get closer to 500 by the end of the month if it's a good one. We've had some good months in the past, and we're starting this on off 2-0 as we lose to Edmonton. Detroit, we also lose. How about Nashville? They're a good team. We lose to them only by a goal, so that's a pretty close game. Winnipeg is a 5-3 win. Nice to see that. Columbus, 3-1 loss. Carolina, 5-4 shootout loss. Yeah, I think this team is at least hanging around with some of these teams. Like, when we lose games, at least it's not like completely blowouts. Like, there is blowouts, but they're not as often as they used to be back in the past. Holy crap, we scored 9 goals against the Flyers. Damn, that might be the most goals this team's ever scored in the game. And we end the month off on a good little note. We end up winning 4 of our last 5 games. We had points in 6 straight games. Or actually, yeah, 6 straight games. 2 shootout losses and 4 regulation wins. We're up to 20, 24, and 6. So now we have points technically in 26 of our 50 games. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Let's keep it going. Let's go to the 27th, the day before the deadline, and see where we're at the point of the season. But this is looking good so far. I am impressed with this record, because I think we could definitely still beat last year's record if we keep up on this pace. But obviously last season, I'd say, was definitely a better one than anticipated. So if we fall off even a little bit, I would not be surprised. As we're on a little bit of a losing streak to start this month, of course, but then we beat the Sens. How about the Ducks? We beat them as well. Yeah, we're still pretty inconsistent. Like, we go on big losing streaks, and then we all of a sudden pick it up with a 3-4 game winning streak, which is kind of funny. Game against Florida is a loss. What about Buffalo? Is a win. Okay, so we're up to 24 wins before the deadline. That's pretty good. We still have 20 games left this season. Let's go through this game, and we'll go past the trade deadline. I kind of want to see what trades happen at the deadline, though, so I am going to probably put up something that blocks our player stats so you guys can't see it, and I'm not going to look at it either myself, just because I do not want to spoil myself on who's leading our team in points, just because that would be kind of annoying. So we are done the deadline. I'm going to just put up something that block half the screen off while I look at this part of the screen here. I got to go down to activity feeds, closing one of my eyes. Boom. Okay, that's good. So here is the trades from the 2031 trade deadline. Edward Sale, Nolan Burke to Columbus. Okay. Some guy named Vico and Harvey get dealt to Philadelphia. Jeremy Poy to Sharks. Sam Colangelo as well. Lucas Cormier to Winnipeg. Darren Radish going to Carolina with Liam Foudy and Andrew Peake. Ryan Donato to Anaheim. What else we got here? A lot of generated guys getting dealt now. Lucas Reichel getting dealt with Riker Evans to Boston from Chicago. Yuri Kulich to the Rangers. Anybody else that I recognize? Ethan Bear and Jamie Alexiak to St. Louis from Seattle. Athanasio to the Rangers. Mirosnashenko, jeez, I could barely talk. And Suzdalev going to the Islanders. Bolduc and Sandberg to the Florida Panthers. Kalen Addison to Dallas. Samuel Urson to Tampa. Simon Edvidson and Shane Gostisbehere to Toronto. Damn. For 2 second-round picks. That seems like a good deal. William Wellander and a 5th rounder to Edmonton. Sebastian Cossa to Pittsburgh for Dylan Holloway. Interesting. And Jake Wallman. So I wouldn't say any huge blockbuster trades, but damn, that's kind of crazy. Let's go back to the calendar here. I did not see who led us in points, so I'm glad that I decided to hide my face from that. And then hopefully I decided to put something up so you guys couldn't see anything that was going on as well in terms of player leaders, because I feel like it's more of a surprise and it's a lot funner when you find out at the end of the season. So let's get through this next month, which is another busy month. And then we also have a couple games in April, too, to get through. But will this team hit 30 wins? I think we should be able to, unless we honestly lose every game this month. But let's go through a week at a time, see if we can get to 30 wins again. First game is a loss to Boston. Calgary is a win. Nice. Game against Dallas is a 6-4 loss. Okay. 4 games this week. Let's see if we can get at least 2 wins here. We're on 25 wins, which is good. Minnesota, 5-1 loss. Montreal, shootout win, nice, 4-3. We do lose to Pittsburgh. Game against Tampa is a loss as well. We're on 26 wins. I feel like we're going to fall off a little bit from last year. But honestly, we could go on a big winning streak here to end the season too. Overtime loss against St. Louis, so that's another point. Game against Detroit's a loss, and Nashville is a win. We're up to 27 wins. 3 games this week. Winnipeg, Columbus, Carolina. Makes me think of the old Metropolitan Division when Atlanta moved over. Winnipeg, 7-1 loss. Goddamn. Columbus, 5-3 win. Carolina, 4-3 overtime win. We're up to 29 wins on the year. We still have 2 more games left this month. The Sharks and the Islanders, looking to hit our 30th win of the season. Can we do it in either of these games? The Sharks, we beat them for our 30th win, and we get our 31st win against the Islanders. This might be our best season yet. I can't remember how much wins we had last season off the top of my head, but we're up to 31 wins. We have points in 38 of 78. So I like that we're at least getting, like I said, points in half of our games we play. Let's go through these next 2 games, Philadelphia and Chicago. Let's see, this first game against Philadelphia to start April is another win, 7-1. Game against Chicago is a 7-6 shootout win. Back-to-back games with 7 goals for our team. Nice. Our offense is probably going to look good. And in Vegas and New Jersey to wrap up the season, we're on a nice little winning streak here. Can we hit 35 wins? There's a win over Vegas. Oh, we lose in a shootout, but we hit 34 wins. I said we were going to hit at least 33 wins. So I was pretty close. 34, 40, and 8 at the end of year 7. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. Let's advance one more day so we could get everybody else finishing in terms of simulation. There we go. So the question is now, who led us in points and how good was our team stats and all that? So in terms of team stats, let's take a look at this here. Actually, I guess that just disappeared. That's weird. Okay, we'll have to take a look at the calendar versus that. So let's go over to player stats and stuff. Well, we look at where we finished in goals for and all that for you here because it went away for some reason. But in terms of the entire league, we were not the worst team by a long shot, as I was anticipating. Like I said, we were probably going to finish above like at least 5 teams. Well, we actually finished in 25th out of 33 teams. So that last stretch that we had during the season made us better than Detroit, Anaheim, San Jose, Winnipeg, Tampa, Seattle, Washington, and the Buffalo Sabres. So we are probably going to have a quite late pick this year unless we jump up in the draft lottery. But we might not even get an elite player in this draft class potentially with our first round selection, which is kind of interesting. So that's going to be a little bit weird. Goals for per game in terms of offense, where were we? Pretty much near the bottom, I'm guessing. We're above a bunch of teams still, so our offense was better than all these teams you see here. Yeah, it was not that bad. It's kind of like mid-table. So offense is starting to do good. Goals against per game was still near the bottom more, but it's still above a bunch of other teams too. So we are improving in a lot of ways. Our power play was still not great, but it wasn't the bottom either. Everything seems to be kind of close to mid-table, so I don't mind that. And in our penalty kill, this is probably where we're going to be hurt. Yeah, we were dead last on the penalty kill. So if our penalty kill improves, this team could even be much better than they were. We did have 9 short-handed goals this year, though, which is nice. 14, 25, and 2 on home ice. 20, 15, and 6 on the road. So we actually had a winning record on the road. That's nice. 8-1-1 in our last 10 games at the end of the season. That's insane. I didn't even realize it was that good. So shout out to the Albuquerque Aliens. Shout out to our boys. And rest the line and led us in points with 93, apparently. I did give him a goal of winning another Selke trophy this season, so we'll see if he could do it. If he has good face-off numbers again and good takeaways. It'll be interesting to see that. So starting off, though, with our centers, there is Ristolainen, 46 goals, 47 assists. He's becoming a really good goal-scoring power forward that also wins Selkes. A career high in points. His plus-minus is drastically improving every year as well. 7 game-winning goals, 3 short-handed goals, 5 short-handed points. This guy's insane. He's probably our best player at this point. 57% on the draw, so a little bit worse than last year. So maybe not going to win a Selke because of that. But had 172 takeaways, so he upped his takeaways by 10. He could potentially win another Selke. I feel like this guy's going to become the best Selke trophy winning player since Patrice Bergeron, those type of guys. Like, he legit could win a ton of them. We have to definitely lock him up after this contract ends again. Because I feel like he's definitely going to win another Selke based on those numbers. But you never know. Jamison Bogosian, 50 points. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for a second-line center. He's up to an 82 overall. Like I said, he's got good passing and offensive awareness. His passing has jumped up to a 97, so I think he's going to be a really good offensive player, maybe even having the bottom 6 role eventually, but I think right now he's a good top 6 center. Steen on 25 points, not too bad, up to a 76 overall. Not too bad at all. Tulipov on 13 goals and 22 points. He's a 73. He feels like he's not going to pan out as good as guys like Steen and Bogosian, unfortunately. But hopefully he develops a bit more. He wasn't shooting that much, though. Like, he only had 66 shots this season, but had 13 goals. So he was shooting almost 20%. That's kind of insane. Last year, he only shot 3.6%, though. So he's a bit of an inconsistent shooter, it seems like. In terms of our left wingers, let's see this. Kolar's on 75 points, not too bad. A little bit of a downfall, I think, from... Actually, not fully from last year, from 2 years ago, at least, but... He's still been really good at picking up assists. Definitely being a good first-line player. 1 short-handed point. Yeah, he's still looking great. A lot of hits for the playmaker as well. Del Monte in his second season, 46 points, 34 assists. Up to an 86. Actually, this is his 3rd season now. A little bit worse than last year, to be honest. Only by 1 point. Plus-minus is worse as well. So a little bit disappointed with that in Del Monte, but he's still looking nice. He's a really solid second liner. He's going to need a new contract this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see how much he gets paid. Capaduke on 37 points, 14 goals. How does that compare to last year? It's better. His career best season in goals and points. Nice. Maybe it's because he got power play time this year. I don't know exactly, but he's still only a 78. Noonan on 17 points, not bad, but once again, he's one of these type of players that's probably going to get winged out eventually. Maybe even as early as next season. Right wing side of things, Stelbitz had 84 points, 34 goals, 50 assists. He was a plus 15 as well. Great year for Josiah Stelbitz. That's his career best year in goals and points. So he's still trending in the right direction here. A lot of hits, just a lot of hits, I guess. He's definitely the prototypical power forward in a way, but doesn't score as much as you would hope. He's still signed here for a while, and then he has his no movement clause that kicks in as well. Malkin hit 20 goals again this season, 32 points, still a 75 only, so he might not develop much more than this, but he is a good 20 goal scorer, so at least he gives us a bit of depth scoring, so I don't mind that. Doig in his first season, 31 points, 19 assists, 12 goals. It's not bad, but minus 30. Let's take a look at his underlining numbers. A lot of Pelly minutes for the two-way, 77 PIMs, 110 hits. Takeaway giveaway ratio is pretty similar, so it's not too bad from Doig. I'll take it. He is listed now as a third-line scoring forward. How much fights did he have in his rookie season? He had 2 fights. It's not too bad. I was thinking he'd have a lot more with all those PIMs. And then Dean Perron, 11 assists, no goals through 82 games. But he only had 37 shots on goal. But, yeah, Perron's probably going to get replaced here soon, too. Unfortunately. He's up to over 500 career games at this point in time. Defensively, this should be interesting to see how Tuzolino did this year. 71 points. Is he a Norris Trophy winning defenseman? Probably not, with Cale McCarr and stuff still being in the league. But, wow, 71 points for the 23-year-old defenseman, plus 16 as well. That's fantastic. Good little upside from last year. Not scoring as much goals as last year, but a lot more assists. So I'll take it. I will definitely take that. Good block shots for an offensive defenseman. Yeah, Tuzolino's looking good. He's looking good. Narain on 29 points. His numbers are starting to drop off a bit. 13 goals is good, but he is back up to an 81, so his numbers have just jumped around quite a bit. But, yeah, this was a career high in goals for him. His points are still hovering around 20 to 30 points. It's just because of his offensive awareness, I think, than anything else. Like, that passing is literally a 99. If his offensive awareness was a 90+, this guy would be insane, but he's capping out as this type of player pretty much. Whitfield on 19 points in his second season, I think it is now. Yeah, second season because he hasn't played in a few years. He improved. He improved 14 points to 19 points. Obviously still not as good as he is in the AHL, but I'll definitely take that from him. Trevelyan, 18 points, not too bad. Obviously he's going to be getting winged out of the lineup soon too. Bell on 17 points, plus 22 this season. Wow. To be a plus 22, 85 overall already for Drew Bell. And he has one more year left before he's going to need a lot of money as a DFD. But less points than last year, but that plus minus is looking nice. He's a good shutdown defenseman to put next to Tuzolino. A lot of hits, a lot of block shots as well. Bates on 17 points, minus 27. He's another guy that's going to get winged out of the lineup here soon for sure. Goaltending wise, Dalcolian an 899, so nearly had a 900 save percentage. That's not bad. 22, 27, and 4. Picked up our only shutout on the year as well. And then Shipley was around 500, had an 891, so not too bad from the goaltenders, but obviously that's still an area that needs to be worked on a bit. Those guys did have a combined 3 assists, which is not that bad. All right, let's take a look at the stats around the league. Actually, I don't even need to go down. I just needed to go up. Let's see what we got here. So Nathan McKinnon led with 162 points. God damn. Okay. Well, that's kind of insane. He had literally almost 30 more points than Austin Matthews, who had 86 goals. Wow. Jeez, the points are actually kind of insane this season. So shout out to the 280 goal scorers. Wow. Okay. Let's take a look at those Selke candidates and see if Ristolainen has a chance to win another one. So, Ristolainen led in takeaways, again, just as you would expect. The face-off percentage by a guy that had a lot of face-offs. Let's see what we got here. We're looking at Nico Hischier might, but his takeaways were way less. Hischier had the best face-off percentage from a guy that took a lot of face-offs. However, he had the 42 less takeaways. So is Ristolainen going to win it again? Or is he not? Ristolainen also had 4 fights, which I forgot to note. So he literally does everything. He scores goals, he fights, he penalty kills. He's a friggin' machine. So we'll be interested to see if Ristolainen wins another Selke. We'll definitely take a look at that in this episode. Defensively, the best in terms of points was Cale Makar with 100 points. Tuzzolino finished 4th in defensive points. So if we see retirements eventually to like Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar and Evan Bouchard, Tuzzolino might be a guy that wins the future Norris for sure based on those numbers. Really liking the way Tuzzolino's developed. Best goalie in terms of wins was Devin Levi again. Goddamn, Levi's always insane in this. Connor Ingram had most shutouts with Dustin Wolf. Best save percentage by a starter is going to be Dustin Wolf. It might be Dustin Wolf's Vezina in New Jersey. And goals against Dustin Wolf. So Dustin Wolf likely is your Vezina winner of the season. Any goalie goals for fun? No goalie goals. Most assists was 5 from Marcus Morozov. Some generated guy that I don't even know. He was a first-round draft pick by the Devils. Hasn't really developed that crazily, but interesting. Best rookie this season? Valerie Kennan's in St. Louis with 59. Miettinen with 49. Callum Ritchie with 38. Okay. Doig was top 10 in rookie points, at least behind like Prust and Slater and all that. So there's that. Prust and Brust are both rookies in the same season. That's actually kind of funny. So shout out to the Prust, shout out to the Brust. Let's actually take a look at our AHL here briefly as well, because I do want to see how good like Bure and such did. Timmins led with 65 points, not surprised because he was in the NHL last year. Camilleri had 60 points. Ahinen had 58. That's a pretty good rookie year. Zetterberg on 56. Bure on 32. Yeah, I don't know if Bure is going to develop. God damn it. I mean, we could try last resort getting him just into the NHL. Guite had 15 points. What about defenseman? Gardner had 43 points as an offensive defenseman. That's pretty good. He's up to a 62. Definitely taking his time to develop a bit, though. All right. What about the goalies in the AHL? Ollie had a 919 with 9 shutouts. Holy crap. Wow. Up to a 72 overall. 9 shutouts out of nowhere like that. That's actually kind of insane. So, Brandon Ollie making some names in the AHL. And in his first season, Semenov had a 908. Not bad. All right. So there is all of that. Now the question is obviously who's going to win the Stanley Cup? Where are we going to be drafting? All that type of thing. And is Ristolainen going to win another Selke trophy? Because I think he should be able to win it because he definitely had a lot more takeaways than Nico Hischier. If it comes down to the face-off percentage, then Hischier probably wins it. But Ristolainen could be a 2-time Selke winner by the age of only 23 years old, which is pretty impressive. So, like I said, he might be literally the next Patrice Bergeron that also does a lot of other things for this team, like fights people and all that. So let's simulate up to the draft to find out who wins the Stanley Cup for 2031. I would guess it's just going to be a team that normally wins, like Colorado or something like that. That's just my guess right now, but I honestly don't even know who's good right now at this stage. Could be a complete different team. Could be like the Columbus Blue Jackets or random teams like that. So, who is going to be the Stanley Cup champions? Apparently, our HL team was in the playoffs, which I didn't even realize, but oh well. But who is going to win the Stanley Cup in 2031? It will be not the Buffalo Sabres, who fired their head coach, apparently. It's going to be the Dallas Stars in 2031. Interesting. Cleveland wins the AHL. I feel like Cleveland won the AHL recently, but I don't know. Ooh, Ristolainen has a conversation with us that would be about his Selke Trophy award. Did he win it? Let's see what he says. I've done it. I've won the Selke Trophy. This is a huge honor, and your belief in my defensive skills made a real difference. Thank you. So, Ristolainen has won his second consecutive Selke Trophy based on that. That's friggin' insane. I can't wait to look at that again on his player cards, but I forgot that it actually pops up when you win an award with that player, so that's friggin' cool. We have another Selke Trophy for Ristolainen. Let's look at the playoff tree first and foremost, just to see who the finals was. Dallas and New Jersey. The Battle of 2000. Interesting. Okay. I'll definitely take that. So there is the playoff bracket. Let's go to those awards here. So Dallas wins their first Stanley Cup of the series. Colorado won the President's Trophy for its second time in 3 seasons. Dallas, New Jersey Cup Finals. Individual awards, Nathan MacKinnon wins another Art Ross and another Hart. He's been insane in the series. James Norris going to Evan Bouchard for the second consecutive season. David Pastrnak, the Lady Byng. Cannons wins the Calder. Conn Smythe going to Jason Robertson. Nice. Dustin Wolf wins the Vezina, breaking up Devin Levi's 2 in a row. He also gets the Jennings. Bill Masterton going to Keatley, who was a rookie, I think, this season. I remember him because it was a guy that we could have drafted at DFD. He went to Buffalo, and Buffalo was a really bad team this season, so that's probably why he won it. And then also the Jack Adams going to Vegas' head coach in Brindamore. Don't know who that is. And there it is. The confirmation that we saw already. Ristolainen. 2 Selke trophies already in his young career. I think every single year we got to just give him the goal of winning the Selke at this point because he's got the takeaways, he's got the face-offs. He should be able to easily win stuff like that consistently. So if he's going to win 2 in his first few years in the NHL, just think of what he could do in a full 20-year career. It's insane. McKinnon to Lindsay, Matthews the Richard. In terms of the AHL, any awards for AHL team or no? Probably not, right? Probably not. Nope, not looking like it, unfortunately. All right, so there is that. Let's go over to Ristolainen's player card now and look at his attributes and stuff like that because this guy has been really good. Like, I feel like I want to almost strip the captaincy from Staubitz and name it to Ristolainen. But I don't really like stripping the captaincy off a player. Like, Staubitz was our first ever selection, but Ristolainen has definitely been the better player. Like, look at his friggin' attributes spread. 99 face-offs, as somebody mentioned in the comments, I think, a couple episodes ago. And, like, his defense is 5 stars. His offense is 5 stars. His puck skills are 5 stars. Shooting is 4.5 stars. Skating is 4 stars. And his physical is 5 stars. So, hypothetically, we could get him to train his defense awareness so it gets to a 99 if we really want to in the offseason. Or we could try and get him to become a better skater because obviously that's his main weakness. But this guy is friggin' crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then look at the awards. 2 Selke trophies at the age of 23. I don't even remember how old Patrice Bergeron was when he won his first 2 Selkes. But this is the best player in the series for sure right now. And I am very excited to see what he continues to do as his career goes on. Because he should be able to get a lot of boosts to his like defensive awareness and stuff like that if he keeps on winning Selkes. So shout out to Ristolainen for winning yet another. All right, final few things we got to do is still simulate up to the draft results, find the retirements, see where we're drafting. Because honestly, we're probably going to have a tough draft this year because we're drafting so late. But I'm excited to see what this draft class is looking like on paper. So we are going to have the 10th overall selection. We fell back from 9 to 10. Buffalo fell back from 1 to 3, so Washington will have another first overall pick. Chicago moved up from 10 to 2. God damn, so we were that close to potentially being a team to move up a lot, but Chicago does it. So drafting 10th overall. Yeah, we're not going to get an elite player likely at that stage unless there's a late round, low elite, or medium elite. But that's definitely going to be tough for our team to draft that late. And in terms of retirement, Sidney Crosby has decided to call it quits. Wow. And Steven Stamkos. A big retirement class this year. Philip Forsberg, Bo Horvat. Jeez, why I say Bohr. Mark Scheifele retires. Zach Hyman. Yeah, some really good retirements this year, which might help us out in terms of winning more games as well. Because a lot of these guys are off the board now. What about defenders? Erik Karlsson has retired. Damn. Okay, Victor Hedman as well. Michael Matheson. Some pretty big names on defense. Goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky. Same with Freddie Anderson, Elvis Merzlikins, Eunice Korpisalo. Yeah, interesting goaltenders too. Wow, Ivan Fedotov's already retired too. Oh man, that's kind of funny. All right, so there we go. All the retirements. Anybody become coach? Yes, sir. Bo and Victor, both becoming coaches. Okay. Coach retirements. Did we lose anybody in Albuquerque? No. Anybody in Burnaby? No, sir. So no coach retirements. Nice. Draft interviews. I don't know if I really need to do this, but we'll look into it. So it's just a normal draft, it looks like, but we're drafting 10th overall. Ooh, Mauricio Peterson. Ooh, okay, this is definitely probably the pick because we do need second line centers. We could use a second line center, like you guys said, and nobody wants to change over a second line center. This guy could be an elite player that's supposed to go later. We might get lucky here with Mauricio Peterson. Ryland Brathwaite actually looks pretty good too, but no guarantees on him. There's Knuble, but he's probably a generic top 6. Yeah, I think we already have it locked in that we're probably going to have to take this center. Because he's a center two-way forward, so he's going to help us out defensively as well. Might be another guy that could be up there for Selke down the road. But yeah, he's probably elite, my guess. Is there any way I could get him to confirm his stuff? Let me actually ask him about some stuff, so that way we could just get confirmation maybe a bit. We already know his play style, so let's just see his readiness. So we could get a confirmation on that. He said he's ready to make an impact right now, so he's NHL ready. Is he an NHL ready top 6 forward or an NHL ready medium elite that's supposed to go 10th? Greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses we'll ask him about. His skating is his greatest strength, and his weakness is his physicality. Not a surprise. Alright, so there is Mauricio Peterson. We could always use another Mauricio because obviously we had Mauricio Wilm in my Halifax series. So it would be nice to have another one. No confirmation on his attributes and stuff like that, but yeah, I think he's definitely the selection here. Unless he for some reason goes earlier, but I doubt he will. So there's that. Let's take a look if there's any other elites that are supposed to go in this draft class. Pascal Lambert in the second round might be medium elite, and he might be going earlier than maybe around our selection, so we might be able to take him. Ooh, Nova Seltsev as a defenseman too. Damn, okay. This guy actually supposed to go second round as well. But he might go a little bit earlier than our selection. Like, he's probably supposed to go 4th overall in the second round. So, we probably can't get Nova Seltsev, but he looks like a nice offensive defenseman or two-way. Never know. So, this could be a good draft class. It could be a good one. Goalies, these guys aren't confirmed medium elites, but probably they are, I would assume. But no guarantees. Any low elites for later rounds that we could pin. Maybe this offensive defenseman, but he's supposed to go first round, so obviously it doesn't matter about him too much. Jacob Watson as a low late round pick, maybe could work. Jeremy Heatley as well, we'll pin him. Could be an okay draft. It honestly could be, so that's good. There is that. Final things we got to take a look at is the progress reports and the contract situation. So starting off with the progress reports, where we got this right here. Let's see what we got. So in terms of centers, obviously Ristolainen is getting a lot of growth, mostly statistical, but some natural too. He's still been very good. Bogosian getting a lot of growth as well, mostly statistical, but some natural as well. Steen, it's looking like mostly statistical, unfortunately. Tulipov, mostly statistical. Ahinen's getting close to being actually ready for our NHL team as a center too. So that's kind of nice. He might find his way in the lineup next year. Interesting. Okay, left wing side. Kolar's didn't get a lot of growth, only a little bit to his offensive awareness. Del Monte up to an 85, got some natural growth. Capaduca's up to an 80. Listed legit as a 4th liner. And a lot of natural and statistical. Camilleri up to a 73. Noonan up to a 72. Our team might actually look pretty solid next season already. Based on the amount of 80s we have on our forward group. Staubitz, a lot of statistical. Doig up to an 83. All natural growth for him, so that's good. Malkin up to a 76. A lot of statistical. Perron. Alright. Defense. Tuzolino is still a 91. Is he getting natural growth? A little bit of statistical. Bell up to an 85. All natural growth for him. Norena on some natural, some statistical. Yeah, I think this team is going to look interesting next season. Like, this team, if our goaltending was stronger, could push to try and get into a wild card spot. But I don't think they're going to be playoff bound next year. But we're very close. Very close. Holy crap. Okay. Okay, we need to address this right away. Rick Kim, 72 overall now at 18. What overall was he to start this episode? Wasn't he only a 54 or something? Holy crap. Okay, well, Rick Kim is developing. So Sanartaku, I know we were saying about that the low league could be better. Well, Rick Kim is taking the prospect pool by storm. Look at the friggin' growth on this man. Holy crap. This man must have like ran 100 million laps around like the plaza or some shit. What the hell? I don't think I've ever seen a medium elite that's so that low get that much growth in 1 year. That is outrageous. So Rick Kim might be our new second line center as early as next season if he wants to, or third line center for that matter. How good is his face-offs, out of curiosity? 61. Doesn't have great face-offs though, so maybe we'd want to use some more as a right winger, but wow. That's pretty impressive. Sabern and Winquist getting some good growth too, but obviously shout out to Kim first and foremost. Aside from that, Dag the lowly up to a 67. Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's a grinder. He's almost a fourth liner. Bure got some growth, but obviously he's taking his time to develop a bit. Gite 61. Peterson up to a 52. So some of the low leads grew a lot less than that medium elite, which is kind of surprising. Right wingers, Zetterberg up to a 71. That's not bad for a low 9. Huh, alright. Timmons there. Defensively, Tulopov's up to a 68. That's good for a guy that has potential, so he might be on our blue line next season. He could easily knock Trevelyan out of the lineup soon. A couple other low elites getting some good growth. Jordan Lee's up to a 64. Gardner's a 62. And Yannick medium 4 went up to a 51. Not bad. Goalies, we have Spezza up to a 71 as our medium elite goalie prospect before he makes in his AHL debut, so he's getting close. Ollie's up to a 71 and Semenoff a 68. Yeah, I definitely think it's time to probably let go of Tamlin and a Thorn because Spezza probably plays in the AHL next year, which means Ollie's almost on his way out too. So, wow. Okay, I was not expecting that medium elite to jump up that much. Not even the slightest. Okay, final thing, the contract situation. What do we got? So, Del Monte is the one that's going to need to be paid this offseason. What is he looking for right now? Only a 3-year deal, so he might be looking for a bridge deal. Bogosian's probably going to be looking for a one-way deal. Yeah, he's looking for $3 million right now. So he actually might stay a pretty good player. Steen, is he going to be looking for a one-way deal? No, he's not. Okay, so these other guys will be all two-way, so it should be a nice cheap offseason again for us. But we're starting to get to that point where literally our team could end up getting closer to the playoffs really soon. Like, it seems like it might take us under 10 years to make the playoffs potentially at this rate. Like, Spezza is going to be eventually a good starting goaltender here soon too. And we have like Kim developing. Like, it's pretty insane how fast this team is developing. Like, wasn't expecting it to take under 10 seasons, but it might honestly take under that. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Albuquerque Aliens Draft to Glory franchise mode. So, in next episode, we'll take it to the Year 7 offseason. We'll obviously draft some more players for our prospect pool. And we'll get through, obviously, the re-sign stage and all that. But I think this team is legitimately getting closer and closer to being a potential team to hit 40 wins in a season. It just depends on, obviously, the goaltending growth. Because, obviously, I think that's our main weakness right now. Maybe also our defensive core a little bit. But everything's looking really good so far. And I'm very excited for the future of this team. So, I think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.